What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Comeback Pod. And today we're doing our Western Conference playoff predictions, man. Kind of like a little, just like the last video. We're really doing like it's kind of like a playoff, maybe like team analytic, like a little bit of everything for real. But just sit back for the ride. So firstly, let's get into our play-in series, man. I feel like we're seeing some crazy matchups in the West. The Western Conference right now is looking scary to say the least. Y'all already know who I'm repping. You already know what team I'm repping for the playoffs, man. You see the man behind me. I gotta rep the Golden State Warriors, man. I just want to see Chris Paul, the GOAT, man, get a ring for real. Y'all know I'm joking when I say the GOAT, man. Definitely top 5 point guard all time. You can argue with your moms for real if you don't believe that. But yeah. So we got Warriors versus Kings playing game, man. I oh my god. So like firstly, let me get my personal opinion on the Warriors, man. At the beginning of the season, we were definitely like a little shaky. We've seen injuries from Chris Paul this season. We've seen Clay looking bad. We've seen Andrew Wiggins looking bad, not looking like themselves. A lot of stuff can be different with this team by the end of the year. Like for next season, I feel like if the team flares out and doesn't make the playoffs, I think that we see probably this team look reshaped. Obviously, Curry's not going to go, but I think Clay is going to be gone. I think Wiggins might be gone. I think we're going to see like a new regime here with the Warriors. Like I think we're going to see them finally give like some keys to Kaminga and everything like that. So I can't wait to see what really happens. But obviously, I love the team. I think over recently we've been playing very good. You see Steph Curry looking good. You see Draymond looking amazing. Draymond's hitting threes again, surprisingly. And I think Chris Paul with the second unit is looking amazing. I like that they put Klay Thompson off the bench just so he can get his traction back, get his skills back a little bit. Now he's back, obviously back in the front in the starting lineup. And Kevin Looney is taking a big step down for me. He obviously looks like he's not the center for the future. He's not the center that he used to be, at least. So we got Draymond obviously running our small ball center, which is okay. I would like to have like an actual big out there. They like using uh uh TJD. So I don't like TJD that much. I like Dario Saric a lot, but we'll see what happens. We have a lot of good rebounders around him. Like Curry's been actually a really good rebounder this year. Has been trying a lot on the defensive end as well. We got Poku, who's actually a pretty good defender, pretty good rebounder, pretty good playmaker himself. So I feel like we got a lot of people to pick up on the fact that we do have a smaller lineup, but I don't think it's going to be a problem in the playoffs, especially going against the Kings, who in that we own the Kings realistically. I think we have the Kings number. The Kings don't want to play us in this playing round, but they're gonna have to. And yeah, so let's talk about the Kings. With the Kings, I think the loss of Kevin Huerter is gonna hurt them a lot. I don't know if Malik Monk is cleared to play yet for the play-in series, but if Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter both are not playing, I think this game is easily a loss for them. They have De'Aaron Fox, who I'm so proud of De'Aaron Fox. I wish that the Kings could have kept a higher play-in seeded spot. I really would have liked to see them where the Pelicans are realistically, but I know they dealt with a lot, and I feel like Domantas Sabonis is one of the most underrated superstars in the league. He should have been an All-Star, not superstar. I'm just throwing superstar out there too lightly. One of the most underrated All Stars in the league. He should have been an All Star this season, but I don't know why they snubbed him. He's a double double machine, averaging the most rebounds in the league. I just personally think that he's amazing. His playmaking is really good. He's kind of like a baby Jokic. Like I saw this little thing where it was like Jokic. You got like the total pole of like playmaking bigs. You got like Jokic, Sabonis, and Alperen Sengun, which is cool. And then you got Isaiah Hartenstein on there too, low key. But yeah, so I really like what I'm seeing from Sabonis, but I just think that the Warriors are they know the playoffs, they know how to do this playoff basketball shit. In a one game elimination, you don't want to see Wardell, Stephen Curry, man. That's all I have to say. So obviously have the Warriors beating the Kings in the first playing game. The next playing game that we see is the Pelicans versus the Lakers. AD is dealing with injury right now. He needs to come back. He needs to stop playing. You know, Anthony Day-to-Day Davis, man, this man always getting injured, always having knick-knack injuries, man. I can't even be hating, though, because Chris Paul does the same thing. But still, Anthony Davis always got something going on. So I have the Lakers easily beating the Pelicans. We saw them beat up on them on that last game of the season. Let's talk about the Lakers first. I think the Lakers have looked amazing. D'Angelo Russell has been, ever since he was in trade talks, he's been looking like almost like D'Lo, Nets D'Lo, and it like really makes me think about that Nets team and how amazing and how fun that Nets team was to watch. I just really love D'Lo's game. I love his celebrations, and I love how clutch he can be at times. With LeBron being there, I feel like he's held a lot more weight than AD on the offensive end. I feel like we're seeing AD's been amazing. Like defensively this season, he was amazing. But I don't think AD's that monster that we want him to be yet. And I think even though LeBron is 40 years old and he's still doing amazing things, he just had 17 assists in that Pelicans game, which is crazy. It's like, I feel like at a certain point in time, AD needs to be the one to take over the keys of this team. It should be AD's team right now. But for some reason, we have a 40-year-old LeBron still being the man of this team, which is crazy to think about. I think that just shows how great that LeBron James is. But yeah, I think that this Lakers team is amazing. I didn't even bring up Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is really good. I don't think that he's done. I think D'Lo's doing what they thought Austin Reeves was going to do on the scoring end. But I think that Austin Reeves is a great fourth option on the team, though. So I love what I'm seeing from the Lakers, and I think that they're going to be very hard to beat in a play-in scenario. So let's talk about this Pelicans team. You have obviously Zion, Brandon Ingram, and CJ, and then like a lot of bench depth. I really love Trey Murphy. I hope that this is what I'm hoping for. Obviously, I don't want anybody to lose. I'm not trying to hate on any fan base, but I really want the Pelicans to lose so they can decide between obviously trading Brandon Ingram or Zion. I think Zion is obviously the person that's staying. And I think with them trading Brandon Ingram, you'll finally be able to see Trey Murphy emerge as that star that I think he can be, and I think it gives him just more opportunity. So I want to see Brandon Ingram traded. I could see him getting traded to like a Atlanta Hawks or something like that. I feel like him and Trae Young will be nice. It could be a DeJounte trade, and you'll have CJ DeJounte, Trey Murphy, Zion, and Valanciunas. But that would be nice in my personal opinion. But I just don't know how I feel about that two guard backcourt with CJ and DeJounte. I think CJ's a little small, but CJ's offense has been really amazing this season, especially over the past couple recent games. So I'm very interested in what I'm going to see from the Pelicans in this play-in. They're one of the most questionable teams in the West for me that I really don't know what they might do. I think they could be amazing or they could be lackluster, realistically. So that means, and so with me saying that, I have the Lakers winning that play-in game. So that means that the Pelicans will move down to face the Warriors in the next play-in game. So with the Warriors versus Pelicans, I obviously have the Warriors winning. I think the Warriors just have too much playoff. What's the word that I want? I feel like they've been here before. They have too much knowledge of being in the playoffs, and I think this is Zion's first healthy playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. And with Zion being healthy for the first time, I don't think he's going to know what to do against this Warriors roster. I think that the Warriors just have too much in a one game scenario. And then obviously somebody's going to have to guard Steph Curry. And Herb Jones can do it. I didn't even talk about Herb Jones. Herb Jones is amazing. He's looking like maybe the best perimeter defender in the league this season. He's definitely all defensive first team, in my personal opinion. But so we're going to see if Herb Jones is going to be able to be able to clamp up Curry in that defensive offensive matchup right there. So I really want to see what the Pelicans are going to bring. I think that the Warriors the script's not going to have LeBron or Steph Curry out the playoffs. So I know that the Warriors and the Lakers are going to make it in. That's just my personal opinion, but I know what's going to happen. So that means we're going to now I'm going to talk about the 6 seed instead of talking about the 1-8 matchup. I'm going to just give a little analytics or a little talk about each team, and then I'll break down my predictions of the different series. Now we're going to talk about the 6-seeded Phoenix Suns, who I personally, when I watched, they look so old. Like, they just let up so many easy buckets. I'm very surprised that they clinched out of the play-in at that last couple game stretch. I really thought that the Suns were definitely going to be in the play-in. They just look too old. I'm really starting to like what I'm seeing from Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and KD. We haven't really seen them healthy throughout the season together and all play together. But we know what happens with these big three teams. They never really pan out. But Devin Booker in the playoffs is a whole different animal. Like Devin Booker gives you 40 at will in the playoffs. So I'm really scared of a Phoenix Suns team. Honestly, I can see the Phoenix Suns being somebody that goes pretty far in the playoffs just because video went out, but just because of the star power that they have. The others that they have on the roster don't really move me too well. Like, I'm not a big Grayson Allen fan. I know Grayson Allen can knock down the jumper. Eric Gordon being one of the people that you rely on is very, very scary to me. You have Bol, who I don't think is going to get many minutes in the playoffs. It's just, this team is kind of scary. I like putting Royce O'Neal in there with the starting lineup and having Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, KD, Royce O'Neal, and Nurkic. Nurkic is giving you another way of playing basketball, though, on the offensive end, with him being a very, very plus playmaking big man. We saw that the Portland Trailblazers, which obviously couldn't make it over the hump, but we've seen Nurkic be able to be that playmaking big that you might need that could give them a whole nother way of playing basketball on the offensive end. But the offensive end is not the thing that I'm worried about with them. It's definitely the defense, and I don't think that Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, and KD is actually a really good defender, can hold all the defensive needs that this team has. So I really don't know what we're going to get from the Suns, but I think that they could go far in the playoffs. So then we have the 5-seeded Mavericks, who are just a scary, scary team. Somebody that oh my God, I would not want to see in the playoffs. I'm very scared to see them. Like, with Luka and Kyrie, that dynamic duo, their offense is crazy. Luka can drop 30. Not my personal MVP, but I can see why people want him to be the MVP, or why people are looking at him like the MVP. He creeped out of that play-in. He was in that play-in bunch for a minute and then creeped into the playoffs, which I'm very proud of. And you have that first round matchup of the Clippers versus the Mavericks, which is going to be one that everybody should be tuning into. Kyrie Irving has looked crazy this season. Luka and Kyrie have looked like a top 5 duo this season, in my personal opinion, as well. And Kyrie's looking like a top 10, top 5 second option in the league too. So then the others, I wasn't. If you looked at my trade deadline acquisition video, I was not the biggest fan of them picking up PJ Washington or Daniel Gafford. I really just didn't think that that's what they needed. I like Daniel Gafford, but I didn't think that he was gonna do as much as he's doing for this team. You saw Derek Lively get hurt, and I think this is a perfect time for Daniel Gafford to step up and show his defensive abilities. He's been very, very efficient over the past games that he's been on the Mavericks, and his defense looks really good. PJ Washington has been running the brick perfectly. He's throwing lobs up to him, and he's just doing everything that you need him to do. I really like Derrick Jones Jr. for this team as well. Just having people that can go up and grab the ball with Luka and Kyrie, because you know they're going to have the ball. You just need people that are very unselfish, that don't really need the ball a lot, that can just do what's needed of them in the game. And I think they have those people. So I can see a world where this Mavericks team does go far, which I'm probably going to say for a lot of the teams in this Western Conference, because they're all very, very amazing. But yeah, I think this Clippers Mavericks matchup, which I'm going to get into, is going to be a very, very great matchup. So let's talk about the 4-seeded Clippers. The Clippers, when Russ was out, looked very, very, I don't know what the word is. It just didn't seem like that Clippers team that we saw with Russ. Like, the team was moving, the team was looking great. Like, with James Harden, Kawhi, Paul George, everybody was looking great. I feel like that this Clippers team is a collected roster of players that are not really vocal leaders. Like, Kawhi's never really been like a vocal leader for any of the teams he's really been a part of. Like, if you look at the Raptors, it really was Kyle Lowry. If you look back on the Spurs, probably like Tony Parker or maybe even Tim Duncan. Like, Kawhi's never really been like somebody that I look at that's like a vocal leader. Paul George neither. Even on the OKC teams, you obviously see it's Russ. And then on the Pacers, I guess you could say it was Paul George, but I don't think he was really a vocal leader for that team. So, and then obviously James Harden. I don't even need to bring up James Harden. Y'all know how I feel about James Harden, and you know just how James Harden is. But I like what he's doing for this team, that he's sitting back. He knows he's the third option. He's just being a nice playmaker, being the bridge to this team. I remember everybody was crazy when he first got traded to the Clippers. It just didn't look well, but they've definitely brought it together over the past couple games. I mean, like a lot of the games, like the halfway point in the season, they really brought it together. And then they have really great coaching in Tyronn Lue. So I can see this Clippers team going far, like I've said, with the Mavericks and the Suns as well. But somebody has to go home between the Clippers and the Mavericks, and this is going to be one of the matchups that I'm tuned in the most to in these playoff matchups. So I really love what I'm seeing from the Clippers. Let's hope that they can get that good basketball that they were playing before Russ got injured and bring that into the playoffs. So let's see what they can do. I think that their only weakness is Zubac is really slow on the pick and rolls, and I don't really like what I'm getting from Terrence Mann. I think Terrence Mann should have taken a bigger jump. I thought he was going to be a lot better. I thought he was going to be like, if I could compare him to somebody, I don't really know exactly what I would compare him to, but just somebody that can do a little bit of everything, which he does. But I don't know. I feel like the X factor for this team is Zubac or Terrence Mann. You know what you're getting from Harden, you know what you're getting from Kawhi, and you know what you're getting from Paul George, and obviously you know what you're getting from Russ too. Honestly, so yeah, that's what I got to say about the Clippers. So then, obviously, we move up to now the 3-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves, when Cat got injured, I'm thinking it's kind of over for this team. The playoff, the what they wanted to happen in the playoffs, I didn't think was obtainable anymore because their offense looks very shaky late in the games. Like third and fourth quarter, they just don't know how to score. The defense is obviously going to be there when you have Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards and Mike Conley. Like the defense is obviously going to be there, but the offense it just looks very stagnant and very slow at times. Like they can't get anything going. Anthony Edwards is obviously the driving force of this offense of the team, but with Cat, I think you have two different options of ways to run your offense because Rudy, his offense is not there. His defense is obviously amazing, which he's probably going to be his fourth defensive player of the year, which I guess he deserves it. But just saying Rudy Gobert has the same amount of defensive player of the years as Hakeem and Ben Wallace just doesn't sound right to me. But it's okay. I understand. I feel like somebody that gets played off the court defensively in the playoffs should not be a defensive player of the year. That's just my hot take. But it's okay. If Victor Wembanyama's team was better, I think that he would have won defensive player of the year as a rookie, which would have been insane. But I think he's going to be on an all defensive team himself. But we're not talking about the Spurs right now. This is talking about the playoff teams. But yeah, I just think, but Cat is coming back in the playoffs now that he's healthy to play. So let's hope that Cat can come back and not look a little damaged from his injury. So I don't know if Cat's looking how Cat was, I think that they can have a chance of going far. But I'm really not a believer in what the Minnesota Timberwolves have. I think that they need a couple more years, maybe a year, maybe two, and we'll see what they're really made of for real. So let's talk about the number 2 seed Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, obviously your previous champions. I just think Jokic and Jamal Murray are the best duo in the league, and I think they're too much to handle. Like when this team is in the playoffs and even in the regular season, this team just looks perfect. When I think about a starting lineup that has no weaknesses, I think about the Celtics and them, but obviously they don't have the star power that the Celtics have, and they're still perfect for each other. Like I think Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic are a match made in heaven. Like if you watch the Denver Nuggets games, you see Aaron Gordon just stays in that little pocket in front of the baseline, just waiting for anybody to pick up on him, and he just easy lob up to Aaron Gordon. It's almost like a cheat play. Like it's there every time. It's so easy because Jokic's vision is just amazing to the point where he'll see anybody open. So I think this team is the team to beat in the Western Conference, in my personal opinion. You just have so much going on. And the fact that they lost that last game to that second to last game to the Spurs to clinch them the number 1 seed is crazy to me. I think that would have made Jokic's MVP status or MVP decision a lot easier. Now you're giving them opportunities to give it to Luka, but I still think that Jokic is the overwhelming favorite for the MVP. So either way, he should be okay. But that's all I really have to say about the Nuggets. There's not really much that y'all don't already know. Like everybody knows that the Nuggets are the overwhelming favorite if you just watch them. Their defense looks amazing. They have shooting. They have a nice to decent bench. I love Peyton Watson. I love Christian Braun. And Reggie Jackson's also really good. Obviously, he's been having like a harder year, but we know what Reggie Jackson can bring you off the bench. So I really love the Nuggets. So that's really all I have to say for them. But let's talk about the number 1 seed OKC Thunder. I'm so proud of what they've been able to do. I don't think that they've won this many games since KD, Russ, and them. So sorry, I lost my whole train of thought. But I don't think that the OKC has a lot of pressure on their back just because they're really young. I think they're like the second or third youngest team in basketball, and they are the 1 seed. I think this is a W season for OKC. You're seeing exactly what you have from this team. You're seeing your emerging star in Shea. I think Shea is already. I think one more season he'll be at superstar status. He's top 3 in my MVP voting personally, and you just see that he's an amazing person in this league, and I think our league is definitely going to be happy with him in it. But yeah, this team has a lot of things that you need. I can see them upsetting. I mean, it's not even an upset. See, that's how you know that I don't have that much faith in the OKC Thunder team in the playoffs. I think only because the only player that really has some playoff knowledge is Shea and Lou Dort, obviously from that Chris Paul year when they went to the playoffs, but I still don't think that that's a lot. It was the bubble year. I just don't think that that's a lot of time or a lot of playoff stature that they have. So I can see them being upset by the 8th seed who was the Warriors. I can see the Warriors beating the OKC Thunder, and I think the Warriors wanted that matchup. I think this is a great matchup for the Warriors. But yeah, with OKC, I love everything that they have with this team. I love Chet. I love Josh Giddey. I love J Dub. J Dub has been an amazing asset to this team, and I think that he next season is gonna blossom into one of the best second options in the league. So look out for the OKC Thunder, definitely. But I just don't think that this is the year for them to make a deep playoff push. If they did it, would I be surprised? Not really. But it's just I think that they're too young. So now let's talk about the playoff matchups that these are my personal playoff matchups. Obviously, these are my playoff predictions as well. I can't really, if somebody doesn't end up doing what I think that's going to happen, obviously it's going to mess up my whole list. But you can just listen to my takes and what I think is going to happen. So obviously, the 1-8 seed that I was just talking about is going to be OKC versus the Warriors. And my personal opinion, I think that the Warriors wanted this matchup or want this matchup. Obviously, they didn't want to be in the play-in, but I think if you're going to be in the play-in, you want to play this OKC Thunder team that's not very used to being in the playoffs. So I think you're going against the most playoff used to team in the Warriors, and then the most not used to the playoffs in the OKC Thunder. So obviously, I think that just it's in itself is going to bring the Warriors over the hump against the OKC Thunder. The Warriors have been looking really good over the past couple games as well, so I don't see it being like anything easy. Like I think it's going to be like a 7-game series, and it's going to go the Warriors' way. And I can't wait to watch this game and see how Chris Paul plays. I know Chris Paul and Shea love each other, and you know Chris Paul has like a special place in his heart for OKC, obviously, but playoffs, Chris Paul is trying to get that ring. So let's see. I don't think it's going to be any, bad blood or anything, but we want Chris Paul to get that ring. So yeah, I got Warriors upsetting the OKC Thunder in round 1. So then we have, obviously, that 2-7 matchup, which is going to be the Denver Nuggets versus the Los Angeles Lakers. This is primetime TV right here. Now, this might sound crazy to people, but I think that this is the perfect scenario for the Lakers. The Lakers come in, they're going to have energy. They're going to have, this is the first playoff series. They're going to have a lot of energy going into this series, and I think that this is what they want. I think personally you're going to have to end up playing the Nuggets anyway. Why wouldn't you want to get it out in the first round? This is going to be a great matchup. I think the X factor for this game is Anthony Davis. If we see Anthony Davis playing on that another level that we know that Anthony Davis can play, I think that they could upset the Nuggets. I think that the Los Angeles Lakers match up against the Nuggets the best out of any team in the West, in my personal opinion, because you have AD, obviously, for Jokic, and then you have people like Austin Reeves or somebody for Jamal Murray. So I really like this matchup, and then I think LeBron is going to have a field day with this team, in my personal opinion. So you have two great minds in LeBron and Jokic playing against each other. So I think this is going to be a beautiful game and going to be amazing. Like, this is going to be an amazing series. But I do have the Nuggets winning in 7 or 6 against the Lakers. It's going to be a hard-fought battle, and then we're going to see, obviously, LeBron losing the playoffs. But it's okay. He'll be back next year, of course. It's LeBron. So, yeah. So that's my 2-7 matchup right there. Now let's move on to that 3-6 matchup, which is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Phoenix Suns. I have another upset here. I personally think that the Phoenix Suns are going to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think that the offensive struggles that the Minnesota Timberwolves have in the third and fourth quarter is going to bite them in the butt. I think that with Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and KD, you just have too much offensive firepower to the point where they're not even going to be able to keep up offensively. So I think it's just going to be real easy for the Phoenix Suns. I honestly think it's going to be a game go to 6 just because they do have Anthony Edwards, and I think Anthony Edwards could pull out 2 games. And obviously you have the Defensive Player of the Year, which is going to be Rudy Gobert. So I think this team can obviously pull out 2 games, but I think it's going to be a pretty easy game for the Suns. Even though they do look old when they play and they give up easy buckets, I just think the offense that the Minnesota Timberwolves do have just won't match up to the Suns. So I have the Suns upsetting this Minnesota Timberwolves team, sadly. I know Minnesota Timberwolves fans are probably upset and think that they should be winning this series, but I just don't see it, me personally. But obviously it could go the other way, but this is my personal opinion. This is my personal breakdown. So now we have the 4 and 5 matchup, which I told y'all is going to be my favorite matchup of the playoffs. Probably is the Clippers versus the Mavericks. Before I even talk about who I think is going to win, I think this series is going to 7. I think the Mavericks with Luka owns the Clippers, in my personal opinion. Luka is that man, bro. Luka and Kyrie is going to show them why they are a top 5 duo in the league, and they're going to go crazy. With the others is the thing that scares me. I think PJ Tucker's crazy. I think PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford are going to show their weaknesses and show why they got traded on the deadline and weren't kept by the teams that they have. So I don't know. I think the others, we know we're getting out of Luka and Kyrie, but I think the X factor for this team is the others. So yeah, I'm just scared to see what I'm going to get from everybody. And then on the Clippers end, James Harden is the only one I'm nervous about in the playoffs. You know what you're getting for Kawhi. You're going to get a playoff riser in Kawhi, and I'm very interested. This is one of Kawhi's most healthy seasons. So I'm very, 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 very intrigued to see what Kawhi we get, because if we get Raptors Kawhi, there's oh my God, I don't know what the Mavericks are going to do about that. And then you got Paul George also, who's been looking amazing this season. So I don't know. I feel like Luka in that pick and roll with Zubac, and with getting Zubac into that pick and roll defense, I think that they're going to take advantage of that. So they're going to have to probably run a little bit of small ball lineups, but they do have PJ Tucker in the back to be able to do that. So I do like how this Clippers team does match up against the Mavericks, but unfortunately I am going to say that the Mavericks are going to upset the Clippers, and we're going to see the Mavericks move on, which then I think that the Clippers have a lot of pressure on them. I think that people look at this Clippers team and see them and think that it's time to blow it up. It's time to figure something out. And I think Paul George might end up leaving. I've been seeing a lot of things saying that Paul George might end up going to the 76ers, which would be great for the 76ers, but very bad for the Clippers. So I'm just very interested to see what happens with this Clippers team. With that being said, with the Warriors beating OKC and the Mavericks beating the Clippers, we'll see Mavericks Warriors in the second round, which is going to be a very, very scary matchup for the Warriors. I just don't see how the Warriors will be able to go against this very offensive studded Mavericks team. I'm hoping that the Warriors do push it out, and if we're seeing the Warriors play like that Warriors team that we know they can be, I think that we could see an upset here as well. But I'm not going to go with my biases. I think that's just my biases talking. So I am going to have the Mavericks winning in this series, but I think it's going to go to 7. And I think we're going to finally see Luka go over that hump and Luka finally end up in his best chance to make it to the NBA Finals. So I got Luka beating Steph Curry and the Warriors, unfortunately. So then, obviously, with that happening in the other round, we're going to see the Suns versus the Nuggets, which is going to be, I think, personally, a easy matchup for the Nuggets. I know Devin Booker and the Nuggets have beef always. That's always been their thing. And obviously, Devin Booker has beef with Luka as well. So I don't know why he always got beef with like Jokic and Luka. But yeah, Devin Booker has beef with Jokic. But I think that it's going to be an easy series for Jokic. This team is just too well put together. And I don't like teams that are just put together through thin air. And all these players are new to playing with each other except Devin Booker and KD, which is still genuinely new. So I just don't think that they have the chemistry to be able to beat a Nuggets team that looks so well together. So I personally have the Nuggets winning, and I'm going to say 6 or 5. Hot take 5. That's my hot take, 5. So that would be another a season with KD getting put out bad in a season. And I just don't think that we need these super teams built or these big three rosters built. Like, I think we need to get more used to gelling teams or building teams throughout the draft so you can have some type of chemistry. That's the teams that we see looking a lot better in the league. So yeah, that means in our Western Conference, my Western Conference prediction is going to be the Mavericks versus the Nuggets. And I think Jokic versus Luka is going to be prime time TV. We're going to see a star-studded Jokic versus star-studded Luka. And I think, obviously, like I've been telling you this whole time, I think the Nuggets are my overwhelming favorite. I think the Nuggets just have way too much to worry about with Jokic being that amazing playmaking big. And then you have Jamal Murray, who gels with him so perfect, and Aaron Gordon, who gels with him so perfect. I just don't see a way that the Mavericks beat this team. The Mavericks obviously have Luka, who can give you 35 points per night, who is the leading point per game scorer in the league. I just don't see a way that they beat the Nuggets. I mean, everything has to be clicking for them. Everything has to be going perfectly for them to beat the Nuggets. But I personally have Nuggets winning in 7. I think it goes down to the wire, but I just think that the Nuggets have way too much to lose. Like, I think they have way too much to lose. And their defense looks good, and the Mavericks still have a lot of question marks where the Nuggets don't have any question marks, in my personal opinion. And maybe bench depth, but I think we've seen what we got from Christian Braun, and Christian Braun looks really good, and so does Peyton Watson. So that's my playoff prediction right there. So if you looked at my other video, you'll see that I have the Celtics making it out, and then I have the Nuggets making it out. I know both 1 seeds, kind of boring, but I just think that there's no team that are really messing with them in my personal opinion. So I have them meeting in the finals, and my finals prediction winner is going to be the Celtics. I think this is going to be the year where Jason Tatum gets over the hump and Jason Tatum shows people why he is a superstar. And I think the fact that he's not really in MVP considerations is kind of crazy to me, because he's on the best team in the league, the overwhelmingly best team in the league, and he's averaging 27 points, and he is the leader of that team. I think that he should have more consideration in the MVP voting, but that's just my personal opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think, but I do have the Celtics being the overwhelming favorite in the NBA Finals, and I have Jason Tatum winning Finals MVP. Y'all let me know in the comment section if y'all think any differently, or y'all think I said a hot take that was crazy. I'm always willing to have arguments. I'm always willing to chat with people if they want to chat about what they think is going to happen to the West. I think this is the most stacked West we've seen in a long time, and I love that the standings is all really close. I think it can go any way. All these teams are really good, unlike the East, but all these West teams are really good. So I'm just excited for playoff basketball. I know you are too. But make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tune into the upcoming videos that I might have dropping, and make sure you watch the previous video if you haven't already. I appreciate all y'all for watching all my videos. And yeah, I love y'all, and keep supporting and keep subscribing. Appreciate you for coming on to the Comeback Pod, man. Love you. Bye.
I can pop out right now, put my big one on these hoes, damn. I'm not acrobatic, I'm not flipping on my bros, no. All my shit be factual, I cannot get it stolen. Real talking stick, I catch a bitch before I catch a cold.